Most people who reach $10,000 think they've finally made it. In reality, this is where most financial lives quietly fall apart. Then continue the original intro. For many people, reaching $10,000 is just a savings goal, but it's not. According to Federal Reserve data, the median savings for Americans under 35 is just over $3,000, which means most people never even get close to $10,000 and keep it there. But the few who do notice something strange almost right away. Their stress levels drop. They stop panicking over small expenses. They start thinking differently about jobs, spending, and even the people around them. It doesn't feel like getting rich, but it feels like finally being able to breathe. And here's the part nobody explains. This shift has very little to do with the money itself. Today, we're breaking down what really changes once you hit your first $10,000 and why this moment quietly decides your financial future. Now, here's the thing. $10,000 isn't just a clean, round number. It's a mental breaking point that changes how your brain views money. And if you don't understand what's happening right now, you're likely to make some costly decisions over the next few years. Most finance advice talks about saving 3 to 6 months of expenses or building an emergency fund. What no one really explains is what happens in your head once you actually reach that goal. For most people, $10,000 lines up almost exactly with that 3 to 6 month safety net. According to a 2024 Bankrate survey, only 44% of Americans could handle a $1,000 emergency using savings alone. Let that sink in. More than half the country would have to borrow money or go into debt for a $1,000 surprise expense. So if you have $10,000 saved, you're already ahead of most people. Statistically, you're doing well, but I'm guessing it doesn't feel that way. Here's what most people miss. $10,000 is the moment when money stops being abstract and starts feeling real. When you had $1,000, it was just cash. At $3,000, it felt like a cushion. But $10,000, that's something you can actually lose. And once that thought enters your head, everything changes. This might sound strange, but stay with me. When you pass $10,000, you move from being someone who makes money to someone who owns money. Those are two very different mindsets. Before $10,000, money was simple. It came in, it went out. You got paid your bills, and maybe saved a little. It was all about movement. But now you've got this $10,000 sitting there, not being touched. It's just there. And your brain isn't used to that. There's a concept in behavioral economics called mental accounting. It means we treat money differently depending on how we got it or where it's stored. A $100 paycheck doesn't feel the same as a $100 gift, even though the value is identical. Once you hit $10,000, your thinking shifts from money as motion to money as storage. It's no longer just passing through your life. You're building a pile. And the moment you start building something, you also start worrying about protecting it. Here's where it gets interesting. Research published in the Journal of Consumer Research found that people with savings between $5,000 and $15,000 feel more financial stress than people with only $1,000 to $5,000. The reason is simple. They have enough money to lose, but not enough to feel safe. You're stuck in an awkward middle ground. You're no longer broke, but you're far from comfortable. Let me explain why $10,000 matters so much, because this part really changed how I saw money. If you put $10,000 into a high-yield savings account paying 4.5% APY, which is realistic right now, you'll earn about $450 a year in interest. That's roughly $37 per month. At first glance, that sounds tiny. Maybe you're thinking, that barely covers a couple of takeout meals. But here's the key difference. That $37 comes in without you doing anything. You didn't work extra hours. You didn't trade your time. Your money earned money on its own. For most people, this is the first time that happens in a noticeable way. A lot of people ignore this moment. They brush off $37 a month as meaningless. What they don't see is that this is when the system finally starts working in your favor. For the first time, Compound interest isn't hurting you, it's helping you. Now let's look at the bigger picture. If you take that same $10,000 and invest it in an index fund that averages 10% a year, which matches the long-term history of the S&P 500, and you never add another dollar, in 30 years, that money grows to about $174,494. And here's where it really hits. If you keep that $10,000 invested and also add just $200 a month, roughly the cost of one weekend of staying in, after 30 years, you'll have more than $470,000. That's nearly $500,000 just from making the right choice consistently. This is the mental shift that needs to happen at $10,000. You're not just trying to survive anymore, you're standing at the starting point of real wealth building. Now you might be thinking, I understand the math, but what if I lose it? What if the market crashes? What if I suddenly need the money? That fear is exactly what keeps most people stuck at $10,000 for years. I see it constantly. Someone reaches 5 figures, and 3 years later, they're still there. Or worse, they've slipped backward because of a few so-called emergencies that weren't actually emergencies. Here's the hard truth about fear. It doesn't keep you safe. It quietly drains your future. Let me give you a clear example. Say you're 25 years old with $10,000 saved. You're too nervous to invest, so you leave it in a regular savings account, earning 0.5% interest. By the time you reach 65, after adjusting for 3% annual inflation, that $10,000 will only buy what about $3,000 buys today. You didn't protect your money. You lost roughly 70% of its value by trying to play it safe. If that same $10,000 had been invested in the market instead, even with all the crashes and recessions over 4 decades, it would be worth more than $450,000 today. In reality, avoiding the market carried more risk than investing in it. This is what most people miss. Cash feels safe, but it's slowly shrinking. Inflation chips away at it year after year. Market risk isn't the enemy. It's the price you pay to grow wealth. This is also where most people mess things up. I'm being honest here because I've watched this ruin people financially. You hit $10,000 and suddenly you feel like you've made it. That feeling leads to spending. You tell yourself, I've worked hard. I've been disciplined. I deserve this. So you buy a $30,000 car because the monthly payment seems manageable. Or you move into an apartment that costs $400 more each month because you think you've earned a better lifestyle. Or you start going out every weekend because you finally feel comfortable. I'm not saying you should live with nothing. But here's the part no one explains. Money spent today isn't just gone. It takes its future value with it. If you spend $5,000 of your $10,000 on a used car instead of investing it, you didn't just lose $5,000. Invested at a 10% return for 30 years, that $5,000 would grow to $87,247. Every money choice you make is really a future trade-off. It's not about what it costs today. It's about what it costs you later. A University of Chicago study followed people who received $10,000 windfalls, bonuses, tax refunds, unexpected payouts. Within 6 months, 78% of them had spent every dollar. Not saved, not invested, gone. What's worse, when researchers asked these people about it later, most couldn't even remember where the money went. It simply vanished. This is lifestyle inflation, and it's the main reason someone earning $100,000 a year can feel just as broke as someone making $40,000. Their income goes up, so their spending goes up with it, instead of holding spending steady and investing the extra. There's another problem that shows up right around the $10,000 mark, and it wrecks people. You might be feeling it right now. You start comparing yourself to others. When you had $2,000, you didn't compare yourself to anyone. You knew you were just trying to get by. But with $10,000, you're stuck in the middle. You look at people with $50,000 or $100,000, and suddenly your progress feels small. A friend posts about buying a house, and you think, I only have $10,000. I can't even put a down payment down. You watch finance creators talk about hitting six figures before 30, and you feel late. You see someone your age driving a new car and start questioning your choices. Here's what you don't see. You have no clue what their finances actually look like. That homeowner could be buried in debt. That new car might come with a $600 monthly payment and a loan worth more than the car itself. Many influencers exaggerate, inherited money, or earn income in ways you don't know about. A 2024 report from the Financial Health Network showed that the median American has $5,300 in savings. Median means half the country has less than that. With $10,000 saved, you're already ahead of about 60% of Americans. It just doesn't feel that way because you're comparing yourself to the top 10%, not the average person. That comparison makes progress feel like failure. This is the comparison trap. If you fall into it, you'll never feel satisfied. There will always be someone with more. Even with $10 million, you'd find someone with $100 million and feel behind. The only way out is to stop comparing altogether. Now you're sitting on $10,000 and feeling stuck. This is the moment where most people freeze. Do you invest it? Leave it in savings? Pay off debt? Use it for a down payment? Start a business? What if you choose wrong? That's decision paralysis. It hits hard at $10,000 because the amount is big enough to matter, but not big enough to absorb mistakes easily. Here's the key point. Doing nothing is still a choice. Every day that money sits in a 0.5% savings account, you're choosing to let inflation eat away at it. Every month you delay investing, you're choosing to miss out on compound growth. Let me lay out a clear structure, because this is the part you actually need. First step, keep between $3,000 and $5,000 in a high-yield savings account. This is your emergency buffer. It's only for real problems like losing a job, medical expenses, or a car repair. It's not for impulse buys or wants. This money must stay easy to access at all times. Second step, wipe out any high-interest debt, especially anything above 6%. Credit cards, personal loans, or car loans with bad rates need to go. If a credit card is charging you 18%, paying it off gives you the same result as earning an 18% return. No investment will beat that. Third step, put everything else into a low-cost index fund. Not crypto, not single stocks, not your friend's startup idea. Stick with a broad index fund like VTI or VOO. Set it up and leave it alone. It's not exciting. It's not flashy, but it works. Quiet, boring strategies are what actually create wealth. Now this is where things get interesting, and this is the part almost no one talks about. Once you reach $10,000 and manage to keep it there, once you stop spending it and start investing it, changes start happening that go way beyond money. The first change is mental. You feel calmer. You react less emotionally. You stop checking your bank balance every day because you already know where you stand. When your car makes a strange noise, you don't panic. You know you can handle it. This is what real financial stability feels like. Next, your decision-making improves. When you're broke, every choice is about survival. Can I afford this? Will this ruin me? But when you have $10,000 saved, you can think longer term. You can choose what's best for you instead of what's cheapest right now. Your career starts to shift too. You can take calculated risks. You can negotiate pay without fear. You can leave a job that treats you badly because you're not desperate. That money gives you leverage, even if you don't notice it at first. Your relationships change as well. You become more aware of who supports your financial goals and who works against them. You start feeling frustrated with friends who want to waste money every weekend, not because you can't afford it, but because you now see what that money could grow into if you invested it. This is where you move from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset. And it doesn't require millions. It starts at $10,000 when you finally have room to breathe. If this video helped you understand what's going on in your head right now, hit like and subscribe. I post videos like this every week, breaking down the mental and practical side of money that most people never explain. Leave a comment and tell me where you're at. Are you near the $10,000 mark? What's the biggest mental change you're noticing? I'll see you in the next one.